Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to episode 8 of Landscape North. My name is Chris Duncan. I am the host of the show. Today we have the pleasure of meeting with Nick Taylor from Baker Turner.
Right.
Before we get started into the questions, Nick, maybe you can give a little bit of background on who you are and what you do.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome.
Excited to be here.
Good.
And my name's Nick Taylor. I'm a landscape architect and project manager with Baker Turner.
Nice.
So I went to school in the Don Mills area in Toronto.
Okay.
I graduated there and then went to University of Guelph, where I did my Bachelor's of Landscape Architecture.
That's me. We're talking about before the podcast.
Yeah.
You're my 5th University of Guelph person on the show so far.
A lot of Guelph grads, a lot of U of T grads.
Yeah.
We're kind of all clustered in this area.
Nice.
And then from there, throughout the summers, I did landscape maintenance and landscape restoration with a local company in Toronto.
Okay. So actually in the field, getting your hands dirty.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Which is something I love doing.
Okay.
And then from there, September after I graduated, I started at Baker Turner.
Nice.
As an intern, and then slowly been making my way up.
Good for you.
That's where I am now as a project manager and fully licensed landscape architect.
And how long have you been with Baker Turner?
Just over 4 years.
Nice. Great.
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate your perspective on the industry.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll jump right into the questions. So, what changes do you see trending in landscape architecture?
Right. So some trends that I kind of had my eye on recently, and keep in mind, I think a lot of us, in terms of trends, we may be focusing on things that we're interested in.
Sure.
So kind of in my landscape architect world, some trends that I've been seeing are inclusivity in terms of inclusive designs. You see it a lot in kind of play areas,
right.
In terms of accessibility, people with disabilities, creating spaces for all age groups from
right.
toddlers to young kids, teenagers, adults, and seniors.
Sure.
So creating spaces that allow all these different demographics and types of people to be together.
Nice.
And socialize.
Cool.
Another trend I've noticed is the incorporation of urban agriculture.
Oh, okay.
Projects.
All right. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that kind of comes in the form I've seen lately for rooftop gardens.
Oh, okay.
So creating kind of veggie plots.
Sure.
On rooftops.
You get those older demographic that don't want to leave their home because they don't want to give up their garden.
Yeah.
If they had that more accessible, it might be a nice way to transition into a condo or a retirement type facility.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's definitely good to incorporate in places like long-term care homes.
Sure.
To get people outside and get people active and get their hands dirty.
Sure.
And it's also very empowering to be able to grow your own vegetables and herbs and incorporate that into meals you're making.
Right. You see that as a trend on the commercial side as well for restaurants with amenity space on the rooftop?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. I know some universities are, I think it's Ryerson University, they have a green roof on top of one of their buildings, and I'm pretty sure they use some of that. They're in collaboration with the restaurant.
Nice.
And
makes sense.
Yeah.
You talk about farm to table, from the rooftop straight down to the restaurant. It's fantastic.
Exactly.
Cool.
Other trends I've been seeing are indigenous placemaking.
Okay.
And that's been exemplified specifically with the firm Brooke McElroy in Toronto, and they also have an office in Thunder Bay.
Right.
And I believe the office in Thunder Bay focuses on indigenous placemaking, so creating spaces of healing, of ceremony, involving kind of the indigenous knowledge and thoughts in the landscape,
right,
and involving indigenous youth in projects.
Awesome.
So that's something that I've been seeing more often, and I hope it kind of solidifies itself and doesn't stay as a trend.
Yeah. I think you're right. I mean, the last couple of guests I've had on the show have also see that as a trend growing as well.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Nice. A few other things, open-ended play, kind of free-form play.
Okay.
So playgrounds that kind of move beyond the kind of stock items you'd see at some playgrounds.
Okay.
And I've seen this with designs from Earthscape. They're a design build firm.
Okay.
They do these really cool theme playgrounds that
right.
involve all these custom pieces. So instead of having a stock item where there's a slide or a swing or something where a kid knows right from the beginning exactly how to use that piece, it may be a piece that involves a little bit of thought and kind of works on or supports the kids' imagination, curiosity.
Yeah, my wife and I were over in Portugal this spring, and we saw a lot of that kind of smaller landscape designs that incorporated some different pieces that we hadn't seen before. So that was an interesting trend that we saw in the market.
Yeah, and it's not to say that stock items definitely do have their place in parks, but it's something that I've noticed involving more risk in play as well.
Okay.
So being less risk adverse and also incorporating natural elements in the playground.
Right.
And I guess one of the last things that I can think of in terms of trends would be the use of more sustainable materials.
Sure. That makes sense.
With site furnishings.
Yeah.
Using recycled plastic instead of using virgin plastic.
Right.
Kind of moving away from the use of tropical woods from rainforests. More recently using ash wood for site furnishings.
Okay.
So because of the emerald ash borer, which is wiping out a lot of trees in the United States and Canada, it's a good way of reusing the wood.
Okay.
And also thinking about the life cycle of materials.
Right.
So say for plastic materials, at the end of its life, how can it be recycled or disposed of properly?
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
What challenges, sort of feeding off that, what challenges do you see facing the industry?
In terms of challenges, I would say, I'd kind of like to frame this, instead of challenges facing the industry, maybe a challenge that landscape architects could take on.
Sure.
Or that we should be taking on is with climate change implications and really keeping that on the forefront of our minds when we're creating designs of spaces and looking at working with nature, with natural ecology, the hydrology cycle, looking at stormwater management. So I think that's a challenge that we need to take on. We need to be adaptive and we need to respond to these.
Yeah, a lot more permeable type applications.
Yeah, permeable pavers.
Capturing of groundwater on rooftop applications.
Exactly, yeah. And it's important that we advocate for that and try and educate clients about the importance of that as well.
Sure.
And I guess challenges that we face as landscape architects, maybe on a more day-to-day type, would be I noticed with some projects there may be lower budgets or there may be value engineering involved, where towards the end of the project, when the landscape construction happens, there could be cuts or to the landscape elements. So I've noticed that as well.
How do you so as a landscape architect, how do you try to maintain that initial design that was agreed upon by all parties? When you do get the end, which does happen a lot, that gets value engineered, something else came up that became more of an expensive item, and it cuts that finished budget down. How do you sort of work with the stakeholders to try to maintain that design?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think a good strategy could be to maybe sit down with the client in the beginning, with the developer and the contractor, and maybe talk through the design and talk about the reasons we're making for implementing these elements, whether it be plant material or hardscape materials, so that they understand the importance and the potential short-term benefits and also the long-term benefits of these elements.
So talk about that value engineered right from the start, so that they've got complete buy-in on the finished product. Yeah,
and it's not something that I've done personally, but this could be a good strategy to maybe reduce the amount of cutbacks on the landscape.
Makes sense.
At the end of the process.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So, what other where do you guys, and where do you personally, or where does the Baker Turner firm find their inspiration for your designs?
First, I'll speak personally on that.
Sure.
I think one of the biggest things is just walking around my neighborhood in Runnymede, downtown Toronto, just being really observant, whether it be residential gardens or larger public spaces.
Sure. And
just kind of seeing combinations of plant material, maybe some details in the paving or the site furnishings. So being very observant and also kind of watching how people use the space.
Sure.
Where they
that makes sense.
Where they congregate to. because I think people, when they're walking around in space, they're doing it subconsciously.
Sure.
So they're not consciously thinking, oh, like I need to go to this space. It's just kind of an intuition,
right.
So where they want to go,
right.
What they want to do. So I think being observant on that is key.
Okay.
I'm also inspired by my colleagues, by kind of.
How big is the firm here?
How big are we? It's about 8 of us.
Nice.
Yeah,
That's a good collaboration, and probably more senior and junior kind of mix all the way through, so you get that different viewpoints on aspects.
Yeah, definitely. Nice. And it's nice to get everybody involved in the entire process.
Yeah. So it's a good sized firm. It's not too small. It's not a one person type show.
Yeah.
So you do get a little bit of collaboration, but it's also not a huge firm, so you can be able inclusive to be on the design side.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, and just kind of chatting to see what projects they're working on,
right.
And seeing what they're doing, and maybe getting ideas from that.
Yeah. Any social media sites that you follow, or magazines that provide some inspiration?
Yeah, I would say I read the Ground magazine.
Okay.
Quarterly.
Yeah.
And there's always some interesting articles in there, so
nice.
I read that. And in terms of social media, I don't really follow many firms per se.
Right.
Maybe follow people like Pete Udolph, who's a gardener and a landscape designer.
Okay.
So there's certain people that I may follow.
Sure.
But it's mainly just from kind of walking around, and also from traveling as well.
Okay.
I've traveled to Europe a few times.
It's a very different environment. It's very unique. I'm glad we took the trip, and I think we'll probably end up traveling more to Europe because of the inspiration that we got from our last trip over.
Yeah, where have you
nice.
traveled in Europe?
Just to Portugal.
Oh, to Portugal.
Yeah.
I haven't been to Portugal.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. So I got inspired by the spaces that I've seen in Amsterdam and Copenhagen,
right.
and Stockholm, and other places in Sweden.
Yeah.
And even traveling to places in Southeast Asia,
okay.
where the infrastructure may not be as advanced.
Sure.
And you have these kind of informal spaces that people are using to gather.
Right.
So it's a reminder that we don't need to overthink. Designing could be
sure.
simple.
Yeah.
Creating spaces for people to gather, and just creating very inviting spaces.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then where do you and Baker Turner find your new client base for growth at the firm?
Well, I would say that most of our clients are repeat clients and developers, because we do good work, and
right.
they recognize that. We've got good relationships with their clients and with the city, with contractors. So we try to maintain that.
Right.
And just have open conversations and keep doing good work. So
right.
I'd say most of our customers and clients are repeat
clients. Yeah.
And when we do get new customers or new clients, it's normally through word of mouth.
Sure. Makes sense.
Yeah. So I'd say that's where we get most of our clients from.
Okay. And then sort of last question as we wrap things up.
Mm-hmm.
If you were giving advice to someone considering landscape architecture and landscape design as a career path, what inspiration or what advice would you give someone who's looking at it from that perspective?
I would say landscape architecture involves a lot of different kind of areas of focus.
Sure.
Whether it be ecology, urban design, even the psychology of and sociology of how people use spaces.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in a wide variety of things like that, I think landscape architecture could be for you. It's pretty rewarding, and it's pretty amazing that you're able to design these public spaces,
right.
or even private spaces that people can enjoy day to day.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say if you're interested, if there's any bit of curiosity, just reach out to a school, or reach out to a landscape architect on social media.
Anybody you recommend from University of Guelph to reach out to?
Well, I'd reach out to, I'm trying to think of any of my professors who are still active at University of Guelph. Well, Sean Kelly.
Okay.
You could reach out to Sean Kelly at University of Guelph. My brother's doing his master's at U of T in landscape architecture, so I'm sure professors there would be open to speaking with. So I think most people would be open and excited to kind of have a conversation.
Obviously, they have a passion for the industry already, and it's nice to be able to share that with someone new coming into the industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I much appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
If you have any comments or questions as a follow-up, please put them in the comments. This will be uploaded this weekend to YouTube, to my LinkedIn account, and also to Twitter. So please like and share. And if you have any questions, again, put them in the comments and stay tuned for further episodes. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And feel free to, if anyone has any questions, whether you're entering the profession or you're in it right now, feel free to reach out to me.
What's the best way to get a hold of you?
I would say on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Or on Instagram. My Instagram tag is Nick Taylor, 3 eyes in Nick.
Oh,
so
perfect.
Shoot me a message. Be happy to chat.
Great. Perfect. Thanks very much.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.